Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at Game 6, Knicks and the Celtics back in New York here for this one. C's took care of business at home in Game 5. Now it's time for my boys to close it out because I do not want to see a Game 7 back in Boston. I don't think any Knicks fan does. We do have some insights and matchups for this one because things were a little bit different in that Game 5 than what I had originally projected. Big Luke Kornet game in that one. So we're going to take a look at what things are going to look like in this next game here, especially if Kristaps is still not able to go very much. We are doing well right now as it's currently the end of the first quarter of this Thunder and Nuggets game. Going to have a recap for that one in tomorrow's video. Did pretty well on Wednesday night as well. Made a unit and a half in one of our first days back after a short break. So going to have that code still available for everybody. Davion will get you 50% off your first month, but we are about to jump into the WNBA and there's going to be plenty of WNBA picks in that VIP as well. So make sure you check out the link in the description of the video. If that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into things. Notes for Game 6, starting with a little brief look back at Game 5, because that game is the only one that we have to sort of help us with how we can project things for Game 6, because it didn't have Jason Tatum, and all the other ones did. This was the Luke Kornet game. Game 5, that's going to forever belong to Luke Kornet in his 26 minutes that he played. He had 7 blocks, 9 boards, 10 points, looked awesome, started to just sort of change everything on defense for the Celtics, which is why I thought KP would be forced out there, but he couldn't even breathe. So he only played 12 minutes and didn't see the second half. Luke Kornet started that second half for him. I think he's going to start in this next game, and we'll talk about what the matchups look like when he's on the floor. Game 5 for Boston also had 22 threes made in that game. So they outscored the Knicks by 30 points from the three-point line as they had 10 more made threes. Knicks did have a bunch more free throws, like 15 more points off the free throw line, but I would rather win the three-point battle than the free throw battle there. As far as the Knicks in the third quarter, that's where everything went wrong. And that's kind of my handicap on that last game, is like one quarter was the blemish that just sort of ended things for them. And it was a bad blemish. They were 4 for 20 from the field in that third quarter. A lot of guys going 0 for in the whole entire quarter. And Boston went to the free throw line starting at like the 8 or 9 minute mark, because guys like Cat are just awful fouls. And then Jalen Brunson picks up five fouls in one quarter. That has to be some kind of record. I didn't even care to look it up. But 12 points alone from the free throw line in the third quarter, which is crazy when you consider in the rest of the quarters, all 3 of the other ones combined, they went 5 for 8 from the free throw line. So I don't know, man. That third quarter, that's it. That's the difference in the game. Feels like the Knicks should win this next one. But I will say, for these props that we're going to be looking at in this next game, they're heavily pricing in context. And what I mean by that is, in the last game, it was a game that definitely felt like the Celtics should win. They were favored to win in that game by 4.5. And that was a big reason why some of the props were in a nice place if we wanted to bet overs for Knicks players. But now the Knicks are favored in this game. So it does kind of seem like we're going to see worse prices, right? Like Brunson threes, for example, last game, we're at a much better price for him to hit 3. Now it's like minus 160 because there's a lot more confidence in the Knicks doing well on offense in this next game. Let's take a quick look at the matchups, and then we're going to talk about these props. Starting with the Knicks on defense, Celtics on offense. And you can see here we've got for the C's, Derek White, basically the point guard, although Jaylen Brown and him will share the touches there. Drew off ball, and then Horford and Kornet. And the only thing I could see different here is if they didn't start Kornet and they decided to start Peyton Pritchard, or they didn't decide to start Horford and they started Pritchard. But Pritchard would be the only other guy I could see them putting in. He's still going to be in there for big minutes either way. So the key thing to remember here is that when Pritchard comes onto the floor, Jalen Brunson is going to move off of Drew Holiday and he'll guard Pritchard. And then that'll move, I got the note right here, that's going to move Hart onto Holiday, right? So Josh Hart will be on Holiday at that point, and then Luke Kornet comes in because Anunoby Towns have to handle those duties essentially. So that messes things up big time when Pritchard comes in for the Knicks defense. I think he's going to play a ton of minutes in this one. A lot of differences in these matchups here for Boston on defense than maybe was originally expected, but kind of makes sense now when you look at things. As far as the way that they start, if they go with Kornet, we're probably going to see Jaylen Brown on Jalen Brunson a lot. So the Jalen battle there, because that's really, I think it seemed like Jaylen Brown really wanted to take that role and responsibility on. We saw Tatum do that throughout the series as well, be like, I got him, talking about Brunson. And Brown did a pretty good job when he was on it, but he played the most amount of minutes as the primary defender on JB there, Jalen Brunson specifically. Horford ends up on Bridges when he's out there with Kornet because they put Kornet on Hart, and we saw them do that with Kristaps. this really opens things up for Josh Hart. He had an incredible game in the last one, but the key is the volume, because he's got, I mean, if he's got Kornet guarding him, that's a better matchup for him than Kristaps guarding him, right? Kornet definitely less quick on his feet, and somebody that Josh Hart can definitely take advantage of. Derek White then ends up on OG. Did a really good job on him in this last game. I don't really trust OG right now. We'll talk about him in a sec. And then Drew Holiday. We saw him guarding Towns a lot. Look, he's an awesome defender. Cat is too strong, man. I mean, that's a plus matchup for Cat. As much as we love Drew's defense and he can guard 1 through 5, I would say he can guard 1 through 4. That's just too much weight to be given up to Cat. So if Cat can stay out of foul trouble, huge if, but if Cat can stay out of foul trouble, then he's got a great matchup on offense here. As always, going to be using Props Madness as we go down the line. Just talk about each player here. I want to go through every single guy, maybe sans 1 or 2 that don't matter, but pretty much every single guy that's going to be playing. Want to talk about them here in a minute. But we're going to be using Props Madness. If you do want to jump in on this platform, it's the #1 sports betting research tool for all things hoops and props. I will also say this is going to be what we use for the W, and we are getting into the W, like I said at the top of the video. So definitely use code LYB if you want to jump in. That'll get you 7 free days. Also gets you 25% off your first month. Let's kick it off with the Celtics players here. We're going to go through each player on both sides, but I'm going to start with the C's and what I'm looking at for each team. Now, keep in mind, again, like the books have this priced in a way where they obviously expect the Knicks to win. They're favored by 2.5, and they're at home in a closeout game. So these prices for the Celtics, they're going to be a little bit cheap seeming. Like Peyton Pritchard's still at 14.5. We really like him a lot, obviously. But the thing is he going to be able to do it on the road where he's been so good at home? Might be a little tougher on the road in the playoffs in a potential elimination game. Big difference from playing at home and playing away. But for JB, if I were going to bet anything, I'd be going back to the same stuff here. The rebounds and the assists. We've got these at 13.5 now. And what I was telling you guys about the last game before we played this, the last one, is if you look at him without Jason Tatum, the RA are really good, really good, right? And the only times that he's actually gone under were massive blowouts here against the Suns and the Wizards that they won by 30 plus. Other game against the Magic, really tough team to get assists against. Not as much better, I should say, on defense than the Knicks. The Knicks not as good as the Magic limiting assists, but we've still seen them do really well. I think this is still a good look for Jaylen Brown. If we're talking about the points, I can't tell you not to take them, right? I don't know that I'll be going in on those. They're down to 25.5, whereas last game they got up to as high as 27.5 for Jaylen Brown. But again, that's because they're now on the road in the elimination game once again. So, things are going to tighten up a bit. I don't know that points are going to be as easy to come by in a game 6 as they might have been prior in the series, but this man's going to be taking as many shots as he's allowed to. He's going to have the hardest assignment with OG and Anunoby guarding him, but that didn't stop him from this last game from taking, 17 shots, getting to the free throw line 8 times. So we can probably book him for about 21 shots that he took in this last game, probably 22 to 23, right? And then he got fouled on a few of them. So he's still going to be, capable and still going to have high volume here. But I think I'd rather go rebounds and assists over once again for him. Derek White's the complete opposite, in my opinion. Derek White is someone I'd only be going over on the points or the threes, right? That's really it. Obviously, if we're looking at him right now, this is without Jason Tatum on the season. Not great numbers, but let's not worry about that. Let's look more so at the last 2 games that he's played, where he took 16 shots, including 13 threes, got to the line 11 times. I believe that was the most on the season for Derek White. And then in the prior game, similar look here, 12 shots, but 11 of them are threes, and then 7 free throws. So he's either trying to go all the way to the rim or he's shooting a 3. We know that about D White. If you're going to take anything, yeah, I mean, you got to take 5 threes for him now. It's 4.5 on all these books. I still like I would prefer the overs. I would not be touching rebounds and assists. I know that he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more, but he's not doing a lot of passing right now. And the Knicks are not necessarily bringing doubles to him at all. So I think he's going to continue to have the option to shoot much more so than to pass and get assists. So I'd rather stay away from rebounds and assists in this one and just go points. I don't know that I will be betting on Derek White, to be super clear, but I will say just play the high upside, play another 25-point game for him and 4.5 threes for plus money, or just leave it all alone like I probably will. Pusha P, also feeling the same way about his props as I was Jaylen Brown, meaning I still like the rebounds and the assists more than I like the points for him. And the rebounds and assists are down to 6.5 here. They've been as high as 7.5 because if you look at his games without Jason Tatum, they're going to look really good on the rebounds and the assists, especially, right? He's averaging 9.5 rebounds and assists without Tatum. Let's make sure it was all the games with Jaylen Brown as well. So couple fewer games with Jaylen Brown, making sure we have him listed as out there and playing. So now we're looking at 9 games, over in 6 of 9. Nice. On 6.5 here. Still minus 130, not great, but this is where I'd be looking. I mean, the man just had 10 rebound chances, 8 potential assists in 39 minutes. I don't think his minutes are going down at all, right? He's too crucial to the three-point shooting and to the ball handling alongside White and Jaylen Brown as well. So I think he's looking at another 35 or so minutes. I mean, this last one he played 39. They're going to need his scoring because Luke Kornet's going to be out there too a good amount. Don't want too many minutes of not having an offensive player like Pritchard out there while you have Kornet on defense. I will also say we're still getting value on the threes for Pritch. While I don't think there's too much value on the points, because I mean, look, in the last game he just shot, he took 17 shots, 14 of them were threes. So if he's not getting the threes, he's not getting the points. Let's just be as keep it as simple as that. So if I'm getting, plus 138, I took plus 158 for him to get 4 threes in the last game. We're still getting close to that value here. It's just, once again, it is on the road. It's tough. I haven't seen Pritch do it in a closeout game on the road like this, but the volume is there. So if he took 14 and we get plus money for him to make 4, even if you dumb that down to like 11, right? This is a better than 40% three-point shooter on the season. Really only need him to take 10 or 11 threes. I mean, I say only, but that's what he's out there to do. So he's going to keep chucking. I think this is another potential over alongside the rebounds and the assists. The only thing I'd be looking at with Jrue Holiday here, not points. I know he had ended with 14 in this last game, but he took 8 shots. And that's the thing, is like in the playoffs right now, when he's not taking that many shots, regardless of Tatum being out there or not. If we look at the playoffs, right, he's played 2 games without Tatum, took 8 and 9 shots. Even in the games where Tatum was in these playoffs, because he's played 7 of them, he's just not being aggressive on offense. 6 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, right? In this series, he just took his most amount of shots since game 1 when he took 14. Hasn't even taken that many. It's close to that many since. So without the aggression from Jrue, I mean, maybe you like threes more than anything, because he's going to take like 2 or 3 of them. But I mean, there's no guarantee that he's going to go better, 60% from 3. I don't want to have to bank on that. So the only thing I would be taking over on for Jrue is the boards. And that's because when you look at him on the season without Jason Tatum, the boards go way up. And I mean, look, Tatum leaves a lot of boards to be had when he's not playing. Jrue, Jaylen Brown, those are the guys I expect to clean it up a lot more than other guys. So for Jrue, 4.5 boards, this is by far the best bet for him. Still getting even money. He's averaging 6 without Tatum this season in 8 games. This is still a good look for me for Jrue Holiday. I think the rebounds are going to be the preferred look. He's also guarding Cat now. Right? He's not guarding Jalen Brunson, where he's guarding the guy who's far from the basket, shooting every single time. He's guarding Cat, who is going to shoot plenty and is a better rebounder than Jrue. He's huge, but at least Jrue is going to be in better position a lot of times to be closer to the basket to get rebounds. So this is where I'd be going over for him. I can't take over on anything else when he doesn't have the ball in his hands enough. Love Al Horford. I got nothing but unders for him once again. He's at 19.5. We took under 20.5 PRA in the last game, and I can't get there with anything else. I mean, he had 12 points in 24 minutes on just 7 shots, but shooting 71% from the field. I don't want to bank on Al having to do that consistently, right? So I can't take anything other than unders. I'll probably end up staying away from him entirely in this game, but I'd be leaning on unders, because if he doesn't hit his threes, then he's really not even going to get the points. If he doesn't get the points, how does you expect him to get the PRA? Because the rebounds and assists haven't been there quite as much either. And I don't know that the minutes will be. Plus, the man's about to turn 39 in like 3 weeks. 24 hours is not enough rest after a full NBA game with the schedule he's been playing. So I can't take anything but unders for Al Horford. Like I said, I think Luke Kornet's starting. So if you look at his numbers when he plays, I mean, look, he played 25 in this last one. Let's just say he plays 24 to 28 minutes in this one, right? Still going to look pretty good. The points up to 9.2 here on the season, and all of these last games where he's really come along here at the very end. Look, again, this is the playoffs, but we just saw him have a huge game. The boards, they're at 7, and this is a conservative. I think he could get up as high as 30 minutes, especially if he's starting, right? But this is already showing you like some of this stuff is beatable, right? In terms of the rebounds, and then if you go all the way down here to the blocks, kind of like those two for plus money. Still get a plus money on some of these books here, plus 115 on Bet365. For him to have 2, he just had 7 in 25 minutes against this squad. And the Knicks are trying to get into the paint. They love their 2s, right? They were outshot by the Celtics in the last game. Took like 20 fewer threes, I believe. They're not getting the attempts up that the Celtics are getting. They're going to the rim, where Luke Kornet is waiting to get those blocks. I think he's probably good for another couple of for plus money. I think it's a worthy bet. I don't think I need to say this, but if you're going to bet on Kristaps Porzingis, bet the under. I mean, the way that he came out of the last game was Joe Mazzulla saying, I wanted to play him, but I couldn't because he couldn't breathe. Kind of need to be able to breathe to be good at basketball. Anything you do here for Kristaps, PRA especially, I'd be going under. This stuff, I mean, we don't even know if he's playing. So, look, I don't want to have to root for him to play and do poorly. But yeah, that would be the best way to have this bet hit. I think it's probably void, and he doesn't even touch the floor. Jumping into the Knicks now, go ahead and give the video a like if you're getting anything out of what we're doing here. Definitely recommend subbing to the channel as well, as we're going to be going live pretty consistently here throughout the rest of the playoffs. And so that live show will be coming out at different times. So if you subscribe, maybe put some notifications on, you won't miss any of this stuff. But let's just go down the line real quick with the Knicks as well. For JB, I ain't gonna fade him. I'm gonna tell you that right now. If I was gonna take anything, I'd be happy to take over on the points and the assists. I'm looking at this closeout game in Detroit, right? In the last one, no, Detroit isn't even this version of the Celtics, not as good as, obviously. But how are you gonna fade a man who, you know, in the biggest games that comes up big? That's it. And he's going to continue to take the shots. He had 22 and 33 minutes in this last one. Shot pretty poorly overall, 41% from the field. Was thrown completely out of his rhythm when he got 5 fouls in the third quarter. So usually if he plays a full game and gets the full minutes and gets into the fourth quarter, he's going to be good for at least close to 30 against this team. Obviously, a lot of people like this over. I don't know if I can get there with 30 plus, but I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't going to fade him. And I do prefer the assist just because I do see them continuing to try to force the ball out of his hands a bit. They're running him off the 3-point line, and then they are bringing Luke Kornet in there, so he can't get all the way to the rim. Often can't even get his floater off, right? So I think the assist might be a little bit better play than the points here, but I wouldn't be fading any of it. I would only be going over. And I will touch on the threes for a minute because this kills me, man. He went 1 for 4 in the last game, and this price in the last game for the threes was like minus 122 for him to get 3. Now the best price you can get is like minus 140 essentially. Yeah, so I mean, this is what I mean by them pricing things with context. Last game is the same player, goes under, better price than this one because what they're doing is pricing into this number that they think that they're going to win, and JB is going to have a big game. So you got to pay a little bit extra if you want to take over 2.5 threes, and I'm not really having that. Cat is in a wonderful position to get his points in this game. I mentioned he's going to be guarded by Drew Holiday for a lot of this one. A little bit of Kornet in there, but mostly Drew Holiday with Kornet coming over to help. He should be in a good position to get points. If this was anybody besides Karl Towns, I might trust them. But I don't trust this man. I don't trust him at all. So I can't get close to this, right? I'm not going to be touching this one for the points. The boards, also not touching it. I don't know that he's not going to get into foul trouble. There's too many ways for this guy to screw things up. He has too rough of a history in the playoffs. Just can't get there with it. So I'm off of the Cat stuff. OG, similar thing here, man. Like, look, he's going to have the Jaylen Brown matchup like we know. He had 8 boards in this last one, 16 rebound chances. That's pretty good. We know that that's going to continue to be something that he's good at. He needs to be good at for this team, but I don't know that he is good for that. I mean, that's the first game where he's gotten more than 5 rebounds. Maybe it's because Tatum wasn't out there and it's easier to guard Jaylen Brown than it is Tatum. There could be something to that, but I don't have enough data to tell me that. And then as far as the points go, like it just comes down to if he's making enough of his 12 to 13 shots. But he doesn't have the volume, right? In this, if we're just looking at this series right here, head to head in the playoffs, first game, 20 shots. Second game, 9, 6, 14, 12. Like if he's taking an average of, I mean, that's an average of basically like 10 shots a game. I can't get there with that. 12.2 shots per game. It's just a matter of, is he going to shoot really, really well? Or is he just going to shoot even normal or slightly poor? I can't get there with him on the overs here. Not going to have a bad matchup once again, but it's not enough for me to feel good about me. It's a little bit of Al Horford, a little bit of Kornet at times. Still, it's nothing doing for me with OG's points. And then Mikal Bridges, aka Casper the Ghost, wouldn't bet on him with your money. Just I mean, he's come up big at times. As a Knicks fan, though, you can sense the frustration. Like, wouldn't bet on him with your money. I have no clue which Mikal Bridges is going to show up. Would love to understand what the pattern and correlation is between him playing well and just failing to show up. But here's my namesake, my boy, Josh Hart. We showed you that Luke Kornet's probably going to be on him for a lot of this game. Sometimes it's going to be Al Horford. Sometimes maybe a little bit of Sam Hauser. Great. Wonderful. Let's get some Josh Hart points. I think he's still going to be good for 15 plus. I do see people hitting this upwards a little bit, but 12.5, only 1 point from the last game. And here's the key. When he plays this team, we've talked about it since the beginning of this series. When he plays this team, his shot attempts go up, right? He's looking at about 12 shots per game versus about 10 on the season. And if we look at the playoffs right now, he's at 11 shots per game against this team. 2 games in here where they didn't have Kristaps and they didn't really play Luke Kornet that much. And so Hart was being guarded by smaller players that are not leaving him quite as open. Well, in this last one, goes back up to 15 shots. And granted, he was feeling a little bit. So if he's missing too many shots, maybe he's scared to shoot the threes. But he still hit like a couple shots from 2, went to the free throw line 6 times because he's throwing his body at the rim. So that's another 3 to 4 shots, right? Overall, he took a ton of looks. And even if you cut these down by maybe about 50%, you get him to about 12 shots or so. I'm great with that. I still think 12 shots is going to be a good look enough for him to get 13 points, especially with a couple free throws in a game that I think is going to be helped. He's going to be helped out by being at home as well. Last guy here is Mitch Robb, and I would still be down to take the rebounds. There, you can still get him to go 8, right? I still think he's probably good for 20 to 24 minutes, which is what he's been playing recently, 25, 23, 19, and 22, right, in these last bunch of games, and 21. So he's at about 22 minutes per game in this series. Thing is like those minutes are often impacted by when is he in? Like, what is he in early in the quarter? Is he in late in the quarter? Because if he's in late in the quarter, they're going to foul him. And if they're going to foul him, he's eventually going to get taken out. And I know he went 6 for 6 from the free throw line. My boy, I'm very happy with him for it. But I don't know that you want to keep banking on that. A couple of those were missiles that hit the front of the rim and then trickled in. You don't really want to be banking on him making a couple more of those. So if he's not out there, for big minutes, and if Cat is not in foul trouble, that might eat into his minutes as well. So I just don't know if I can get there with a bet for him. Too much unknown, but this would be the only way that I would play him is over on the boards. All right, like I said, about to be the last day for code Davion, 50% off for your first month. If you do want to jump into the VIP, don't miss any of the bets that I'm betting. And then we're about to get into this W season as well. So we'll have some new codes for y'all to come into check it out in the VIP. For anybody that wants to follow along for the WNBA as well, gonna start getting videos out for those as soon as I can. A little busy at the moment, but we'll be getting there. So until I do see y'all next, happy betting.